Hi folks, we're Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about that there's recently been a huge uptick, or certainly in my advertising feed anyway, a huge uptick in adverts that feature mixed race relationships. Some are gay and lesbian, by the way, but the majority of them are the dark-skinned man and the white woman. This seems to be, I'm guessing that the globalists think that it's going to be the most easy to switch women away from how, or a lot of women away from having a white male partner and switch them into having a black and brown partner, because all the straight white partners, or white partners generally, are probably all Nazis, maybe even Hitler personally. So you're doing a good and virtuous thing by dating or procreating with a non-white guy, and then you can breed the Nazis out of the world, which is, performing yet another service for the globalists. But why would they do this now? And let's sort of follow the money on this one, because it's commercially it makes absolutely no sense. So you're a business with a product or a service to sell, and you want to sell it to people that want and need and can use the service, can afford to buy it, all that sort of stuff. So you're pitching at a certain marketplace. Now, I've sat many times on committees, or been part of the group that's been looking at the advertising agency and the pitch they're making for your business. So that they come in, but their opening question is, who do you want to sell to? What is your market? Is it people in a certain area? Is it the geographical area, a certain income group, a certain age group? What is your market? Who are you trying to sell to? That's always the opening sort of question. And then the company responds to the advertising agency, well, we want to sell to women over the age of 25 who that sort of thing, and who are married and have got one child, or minimum of one child. So you define who you want to sell to, and then you fashion adverts to appeal to that group. So and that's fair enough. I mean, that's hardly rocket science. And the advertising agency puts together something that can appeal to that group, or best appeals to that group. And then you look at the stuff they've put together, you approve, oh yeah, well, I like that one. And they'll usually come to you with a few sort of ideas. And then you approve the one you like, and off you go. So that's the way it always worked. And commercially, why wouldn't you do it? You're trying to sell your goods and services to consumers, and so you want to appeal to those consumers. This is why you should buy the product. This is why it's good, or this is why it's glamorous to buy it, or whatever it might be. But this has changed, because let's now look at the adverts that use interracial couples. Now, even by the most generous definition of interracial, 5%, somewhere between 3 and 5% of all relationships are interracial. And again, we're being generous there. I don't think it's more than maybe 1%, 1.5% max. But like most things, there. So say somebody from, I don't know, England marries somebody from Scotland. Interracial. So I think they're using a very broad definition of what interracial means, or how you define it. And playing around with definitions is definitely a globalist shtick. So just coming to that now. So the company that's goods and services to sell says to the advertising agency, we want to pitch our product at mixed race couples. Now, the advertising agency would be doing its job, you would think. So, well, if you do that, you're only really appealing to sort of approximately 1% of the population, and they're not particularly wealthy. In the overall scheme of things, that 1% is not a wealthy 1%. So you're pitching at a tiny market that isn't cashed up. So why would any organization do that when you're selling your goods and services? So you wouldn't commercially, you just plain wouldn't do it. It would be suicidal to do that. Now you can look at come from the other side of things, which is, if you like, moral branding. Well, we're really good people. We're morally good people. And look, we feature not only mixed race couples, but mixed race lesbian couples. Now, just think how morally superior we are, and how morally superior you will be if you buy our product or use our services. You could say, well, that's an argument there, but you still come back to the thing. You're appealing to 1% of the people that will directly identify with what you're doing, and then there'll be a certain percentage, young women perhaps, gender studies majors and so on, that will say, well, wow, look at that. So that's so progressive, and it's so woke. Oh, that company, there must be a good company. Now I've noticed that the companies doing it are ones that maybe are most likely to have a public relations image when push comes to shove, like say a mining company or a banking or big finance or something, and so they want to project the image that they're all warm and cuddly and fuzzy. We're in support of black lesbians. Look at our adverts. That type of thing. And if you go into those same companies, they've got these sort of rather lavish and palatial foyers with big reception desks on it with all these black lesbians and gay guys in makeup on the desks. See, look how woke we are. So a lot of it could be image, but the fact comes back to why would you do it? Now, the advertising agencies, certainly as I understand it, there are many around now that specialise in doing this sort of woke progressive propaganda stuff. And if you look at the money that how they're funded, a lot of them are receiving. They've got associated with them. They've got charity NGOs, and the NGO, you can donate money to the NGO, and it's a tax deduction because they're a charity. But in fact, they're at the cutting edge and the forefront of political, radical political activism, and they're committed. These NGOs are committed to pushing radical, as they would see it, progressive ideologies. There should be a black lesbian in every advert online or TV or something like that. So and lesbianism, mixed race, all this sort of stuff should be pushed relentlessly, and they in turn fund the advertising agencies. Now, if you look at these advertising agencies, and they've got a lot of staff online, and yet so many of these staff appear to be paid by the NGOs. So you've got 100 people working at this advertising agency, but 97 of them their salaries are paid by the NGO, which is supposedly a charity, but really it's not. It's an activist group that's there to push globalist propaganda to destabilize the white Western countries. So you see a lot of now. I don't know whether the economics sort of stacks up here, but why would any organization want to do that? I'm wondering if they're getting these adverts effectively for free or for some reduced amount, or they're getting a double tax write-off. So if they advertise their product just as a product advertising, they don't get any special tax treatment. But if they include mixed race, the proverbial black lesbian type thing in their advertising, then they're given an extra tax write-off. Now, whether that's equivalent to a tax write-off or equivalent to an incentive by money being shoveled in from these activist NGOs that are pretending to be charities, or whether there's a deal with some backroom deal with government, globalist controlled governments to say, well, if you push our propaganda, mixed race, black lesbians, if you push our propaganda, then for every dollar you spend on this propaganda, we'll allow you $2 of tax write-off. So it's economically in your interest, in your bottom line interest to do this. So even if these adverts don't work, even if they are injurious to your bottom line of profit, because you get a double tax write-off, who cares? And you're pushing out propaganda. And by the way, on top of that, we'll give you some government contracts using taxpayer money so that we sweeten the whole deal. Now, increasingly, these businesses that are pushing the propaganda are getting closer and closer to government, and they're almost acting as one. So the globalists control the government. These corporations, some of them not that big actually, are getting in bed with the government, and they're all marching to the beat of the globalist propaganda drum. And this seems to be widespread. You wouldn't, no business would advertise to 1% of the population that isn't a wealthy 1%. If it's the wealthiest 1%, maybe then, but not like you'd advertise your top of the range Maseratis to the richest people, and there's not many of them. But they've got the money to make that sort of choice. So you don't advertise to a very small proportion of the population that effectively has no money or nothing to speak of. Now, just coming on to the issue of mixed race, now it's something that's being pushed heavily all across the Western world. I don't know if you've noticed if you Google mixed race relationships, then all these propaganda photos appear of incredibly photogenic people, incredibly photogenic white man, very photogenic or very photogenic black man, rather, very photogenic white woman. So that the hottest white babes around are choosing black husbands and boyfriends and so on. No, that doesn't happen. Similarly, the hottest black guys around are choosing that is more of a likelihood, by the way. The hottest black guys around are picking, the most photogenic are picking selecting white women. Now the reality isn't that way. I've sort of sat in shopping centres in the middle of the most diverse areas of by racial mix, most diverse areas of Sydney, and you're lucky to see even 1% of mixed race, and even people who've been Chinese people who were born in Australia will have Chinese partners in pretty much all the time. Indians, subcontinent Indians who've been born in Australia will have Indian partners. The likelihood, you've got a few. The sort of crossover races are things like, the Philippines. They seem to be more open to mixed race than others might be, but that's only so they can use the white sort of citizen of the white country to bring out the rest of their tribe and family and so on. So this is something that it's not necessarily that they're interested in the relationship. It's just a means to again bring out their family and their whole village to the west. So if you look at this, Pakistanis the same. Some of the Muslims are the same. The Islamic people are saying some will marry outside of their diaspora and their religion, but very, very few. There's actually women, more likely the Christian woman would become Islamic, wear the hijab and all that sort of stuff to have a relationship with the Islamic. That's more likely. It happens. Again, rare. So my sort of feeling is that the globalists are pushing this because it's this paradise nirvana around the next corner thing that they want. But the mixed race relationships are very, very few. And in spite of the 10 years plus of hysterical propaganda pushing it, and every imaginable inducement and deception and trickery, and again the supposed advent of super good looking and photogenic people of mixed races getting in spite of that, it hasn't really translated into action on the ground. I've noticed that in areas where there's quite a lot of islanders, as in Pacific Islanders, that have come to Australia, there's some sort of interracial relationships there, but they're typically the sort of these huge guys. Some of them are really massive. They're 6'4" and they weigh 300 pounds, 140, 50 kilograms, that sort of thing. And they end up, but they sort of end up being with the lowest form of white woman, ex-criminals covered in head to toe tattoos and angry and illiterate, that sort of, they end up having those sort of relations. So you see a bit of interracial relationships there, but again, not very much. So So really, we have to say this is not a commercial exercise. We could maybe give this mixed race advertising thing a pass by saying it's woke branding and positioning by businesses or companies otherwise may have a slight public relations issue in the wider scheme of things. Could be that, but the amount of effort and resources they put into it, it has to be an arranged, agreed program of propaganda to influence the public, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.